Welcome to Vibrant Numerals, where we explore and read the vibrations of the world around us and work to apply it to our everyday life. I'm Elizabeth, and this video, I'm going to give you the vibrational story that's happening underneath the poetic justice theory. So now that I've heard all of my favorite reactors give me their perspective on the poetic justice theory, I can now pull out some more of the vibrational story. So every vibration is neutral. It contains everything that we would consider positive and negative. And so it's really important that if we want to find the vibrational story, to get as many perspectives as we can. And so that is why I waited. So if this is the vibration that we're looking at for the poetic justice theory, we want all of these perspectives because each point that we're looking at is going to look a little bit different from each one of these perspectives. And to get to the full truth, or as close to the truth as we possibly can, we need to have as many perspectives as possible. And so let's start checking it out. So I'm going to do things a little bit different than I usually do because my handwriting is atrocious, which I know. And I want to make sure that you're getting everything. So I'm going to try and copy and paste many of the words and phrases that we're going to be using today. So we're starting with this poetic justice theory. And so the focus is, so we hear that Anthony's poetic justice theory began when he was listening to Poetic Justice. When we actually use the number grid, and you can check me on everything by designating A as 1 all the way to Z equaling 26 for the English language system. So if we put those numbers into poetic justice, we end up getting 155. Now, 155 is the vibration that everybody is tapping into. This is the original vibration that Anthony is tapping into to be able to begin to develop this theory. And so when everybody's reacting to and adding to the theory or checking the theory, they're tapping into this vibration as well. But we're going to get all these different perspectives. But there's going to be some themes that are going to remain the same. So one of the themes is with this 55, because 55 is the numeric vibration of the word karmic. So we know that a theme is going to be around a lot of this karmic energy of how are these energies coming back around? How is the action being taken, then coming back later? The other one is, if we add these up, it equals 11. And 11 is the vibration of duality, where we have been experiencing a lot of duality. In our earth plane, it's just duality and period. But in this theory, it really is about this back and forth and an examination of these extremes. The 11 then goes to 2. So we would see some themes around karmic and duality, but also ending this duality and getting to a place where something new is created out of the duality. And interestingly enough, our first phrase that we are going to work with is Kendrick versus Drake. And when we look at Kendrick versus Drake, we put in all of the letters, it actually also equals 155. So here is where our story begins. Here's where this vibrational story, this vibrational journey really begins, where we have the tapping in of to poetic justice, which is then resonating at this vibration that'll be the same in the future from when poetic justice first came out. In the future, it's a Kendrick versus Drake, but this started way before. So let's look at what comes next. So we see that this vibration of 155 is taking us on this story, this vibrational story, this vibrational journey of Kendrick versus Drake. And our first stop is thinking about this 11. So Kendrick versus Drake is a phrase that is equaling to that 155, which is 11. And their part of the theory is that this began in 2011. So here's where we're seeing 11 again. And we also know that 11 in the tarot, so the 11th tarot card is the Justice card. It is also in the sign of Libra. It represents the sign of Libra. And this theory has resurfaced in Libra season. So here's that theme of 11, this duality, this 11 coming back around. We also know that along with this same theme of 11 is that Drake's son, Adonis, is actually born on October 11th and is a Libra as well. So there's that vibrational messaging again. And as you can start seeing, there's a lot of this that could be controlled, a lot of this that could be planned, but also a whole lot that can't be. And that's what makes this vibration more universal. It's a message from the universe. It's a message from God. And we are just tapping into that string and pulling it and getting the little tidbits along the way as we are looking at this story unfold from our perspective. The last part of looking at 11 specifically is that we have a second supposed child, where in Meet the Grams, Kendrick Lamar talks about the presumed daughter of Drake's 11th birthday. And so here we have this 11 theme already starting to come up. And this is a lot of this basis where you can see in the past and in the present and in the future of this coming into fruition. So then, thinking about this 11 takes us back to this 155, where the 11 really is about duality. And the word duality also resonates at an 11, where the word duality resonates at a 92, which is also an 11. So not only does the word duality begin to explain how we're seeing these two paths kind of unfold of Kendrick and Drake unfolding together along their career path, but duality itself. So when we use that term to explain the story that we're seeing, to explain this theory, we're also resonating with this 11. Also, the phrase a theory, the phrase a theory also resonates at 11. It actually resonates at a 92, the same as duality. So by having the Poetic Justice, which is the 15511, and then Theory. So now a theory is 9211 as well. We also begin to see this duality in some of the lyrics that are said and some of the thinking around these lyrics. And so, one that was brought up and highly discussed was this lyric of hit 25 times with a K. And there's all of these theories going around of what does the K represent? Is it 25,000? Is it for Kendrick Lamar? And the answer is yes, and it's all of the above because it's all encompassed within the same vibration, where K is the 11th letter of the alphabet. So when we look at our English alphabet, K is the 11th letter. So K is already representing this vibration of 11. And our goal for 11 is to get to 2. This phrase, hit 25 times with a K, is resonating at 200, which does result in a 2. It's asking us, the 2 is asking for the duality to end and for us to get to a new place with the 2. But also, these zeros are the only vibrations that we can't control because this is where God or the universe is inserting its own energy within this story. Whenever we have zeros come up in the vibrational story, this is where God or the universe is enhancing that part of the story. It's enhancing the importance of the message that is being told. So here we come again, not just with a 2, but with a 2 that is being doubly enhanced with this God energy. So that lets us know that we are still on this vibrational track. Also, when we think about this theory has come out not only in Libra season, but in October 2025. And a big message of October 2025 was around these mirrors and seeing the reflection in the mirror. And theory, the word theory, resonates at a 91, which is the same as the word mirror. So we are now being told that not only are we in this dualistic place where we're having to look at these two sides of this road, and looking at these two people that are moving along this road together and their interaction and how they are impacting each other along this vibrational story, but it's really about being a mirror. And one of the things that came out during October, so the same month, was this message around how Tupac's relationship with hip hop is a mirror image of Drake's relationship with hip hop. I have a longer video on this that you certainly can go take a look at. But really, what it's looking at is how the vibrational representation of Drake and Tupac are getting to these two numbers. So it's 97 and 79, which are mirror images of each other. And so as Drake is moving along this path, he's trying to both mimic but also replace the vibrations of Tupac. And he's feeling this because along this vibrational journey, he is the mirror image of Tupac and Tupac's relationship with hip hop. But this is also where he gets tripped up. So we've seen this also. Also with this mirror, especially around Tupac, we still had parts of this journey that were related to not just Drake, but also to Kendrick Lamar. So we also saw in the same month of October that a message came out when Kendrick Lamar was performing with Playboi Carti that Tupac's legacy is what acts as a mirror um, between Playboi Carti and Kendrick Lamar. So, because Tupac's legacy began on the June 16th, which is his birthday, and that's directly related to Kendrick Lamar's birthday on June 17th, and Playboi Carti was born on the exact day that Tupac passed away and left this earth. Well, his body left this earth on September 13th, the exact day. Now, Kendrick Lamar and Playboi Carti together are the representation of Tupac's legacy that spans from his birth to his death. And so Tupac is acting as a mirror between these two to be able to form this full cycle of his legacy. We also saw that part of the Poetic Justice Theory was around Tupac and using postscript. And so there was lots of debate about whether it stood for Pac, Shakur, or not, or what it was. And a lot of times what we do is when we are on this vibrational journey, we're pulling on this vibrational thread, we will get some information from that vibration, but not fully understand what it means. We just know that it's important. And so that's where we have parts of our theory that can be a little thin. It's still representing the vibrational journey, but it may not be as strong as some of the messages that we're getting right on. And again, this is from our perspective. So if our perspective is a little off and we're not seeing the whole thing clearly, that's where we can be a little bit off. Or if our perspective is very different than others, then that's where it can seem like it's a little bit off. But if we use our gematria, so our numbers and letters charts, PS actually equals 35. And Kendrick Lamar's name adds up to 120. And 35 plus 120 gets us right back to our 155. So this is still on that vibrational journey. It's still part of that vibrational thread. We just did not understand exactly how or why it was considered on this vibrational thread. But it is, and there's the proof of it. So we have Kendrick Lamar and Drake moving on this journey together. And we know that this is a karmic journey. And so then that brings us to some of these other phrases. And all of these phrases that I'm pulling out, most of them did come from the discussions of the Poetic Justice Theory. And others came from other discussions around Kendrick Lamar and Drake. But there's been a discussion about karma. And I put out a video on Kendrick Lamar and Drake being on the same karmic journey, but on different sides of the road. And as you can see here, when we do the math for the phrase Drake karma and Kendrick Lamar karma, they both still get to this 11 too. But also some of the phrases that have been used is being on the karmic road. And so let's see, let me pull up that phrase. On the karmic road, I don't know why it's doing that. There you go. On the karmic road is another one of these 155 11-2 vibrations. So we're still on this same vibrational path. We're still on this same vibrational journey. but also when we're thinking about karma in the way that it's waiting. Like we're waiting to see karma happen, but also anything that we are putting out into the world is coming back to us in karma. And so in this case, now karma is acting as the mirror between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, where karma and the karmic energy, this karmic journey, because they're on the same road, they're on the same karmic journey, but on different sides of the road, it's just the same as when we were looking at these mirror images. And so now we are getting another piece of this story. Then now the story is taking this turn where the return of energy is a very big part of this. And understanding how the return of energy can impact you as you are walking along this karmic road. And so on this karmic road, both of them can move along the same journey, so along the same vibrational path, the same karmic journey, but have very different perspectives and behave in very different ways. So they both can become the villain of the story, but for different reasons and in different ways, where we've been seeing that there's all of this discussion about how Drake has become the villain because of his behavior and how he's been acting to other hip-hop artists in the hip-hop space, and especially in court. But also there is discussion of how Kendrick has become the villain and has been dishing out this diabolical evil plan to really take Drake down for a long, many years. This also goes along with this phrase, hater of the year, which we have heard in lyrics as well. And so both of these are still keeping us on the same vibrational path. They're connected to the karma, because if you are being the villain, what that energy is you're putting out. Regardless of the intention, it's going to come back in the same intentional frame. So if Kendrick Lamar really is being the villain, but with the intention of freeing and opening up hip hop, if he's hating on Drake for intentions that he and hip hop and the universe deems pure, now these good karmic energies will come back in play. And if Drake really is, which we've kind of seen happening, playing and becoming the villain in these ways that are going against hip hop, so the mere reflection of Kendrick, now his villain role and him being the hater of the year in the hip hop space is coming back tenfold to him in that way as well. So they both can be these villains, they both can be these haters of the year, but it really is about what is the intention. You are taking action and saying things with a particular intention, and that's what brings the karma back. And so we know that regardless of what side of the karmic road you are on, that karma requires a few things from you, whether you like it or not. Karma requires that you be authentic, that authenticity is true, and that regardless of what your intention is, that you are being authentic in that role that you are choosing to play. And a big part of that is making sure that you are kept accountable, but also taking accountability for the role that you've chosen. And so here, this is where we have both Drake and Kendrick Lamar being required to stand in their authenticity of who they are. But they also will challenge each other's authenticity of who they are, especially in the hip hop space. And this can now culminate into this rap battle where they both are trying to say that the other needs to be held accountable for the karmic energy that they have put out into the world. And regardless of whether they like it or not, or whether it's intentional or not, karma is going to reveal certain things. And so this is where we get some of these prophetic messages where it seems like a lot of the messages and what Kendrick Lamar in particular is saying in his lyrics are coming out of time and being presented at one time for another time. We see this also when we read like very spiritual books. So books that are high vibrations. So whether you believe it or not, you hear quite regularly that there are certain books that people will just read over and over again. One example of this is the Bible. That every time you're reading the Bible, you are getting a different message. You're capturing a different vibration, and you are being able to see that vibration differently based on your perspective in that moment of time. And just as a side note, this just came to me. Christianity, so I don't have one ready. Christianity, so the word Christianity also equals 155. That takes us to the 11 and the 2. So, regardless of which side of the road you're on or what your intentions are when you are putting out this karmic energy, karma is going to require that things be exposed, that things come to light. And this is why you have to take accountability. And so where we see that in Mr. Morale, Kendrick Lamar was taking accountability for the authenticity of who he was, him as a whole person, that when things were exposed, it was not as harsh as on Drake's side. It was Drake's lack of awareness that he had to be fully accountable and fully authentic. He thought he was being authentic, or maybe he knew he wasn't, but it was this lack of awareness that his level of authenticity and his level of accountability was going to get him exposed. Karma also then reveals, along with all of this exposure, gonna reveal all of those family secrets. And your level of accountability for those family secrets is going to dictate how much this actually impacts you. And we've seen this in this journey as well. So then, all of this along the karmic road gets us to a particular place where we now have seen that karma has these requirements, that along this vibrational path that started with Poetic Justice and this Kendrick versus Drake, we have gotten to a place now where, and that's maybe why the theory is coming back around, is because all of this karmic, these are the karmic requirements, they all lead to a certain set of things that we're trying to get back to. So when we are working with these vibrations between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and with this poetic justice theory, the whole point is to get back to the essence of hip hop. It's to get back to what was intended. It was to be able to test and understand if the theory holds and if the party really is dead. And if the party really is dead, regardless if it is or not, it's created this split. It's created this 11 split between these two sides of hip hop that are represented by Kendrick and Drake. And it's requiring the genre to change. And this change that we are feeling within the hip hop space is what we have been calling this shift of hip hop. And in this shift of hip hop, a big portion of this is to, yes, get back to the essence of hip hop itself, but also to be able to get to a place where there's true justice, where justice is served for hip hop, for the hip hop space and everybody in it. And we can eventually be able to get to this too. We're out of this split, out of this karmic road. We are able to now get to a very new place in time. We're able to get to a new hip hop. And with this is where the cycle now takes us all the way back to where we began, where poetic justice is the same vibration as Kendrick versus Drake. And here is this vibration. Now, we are sitting in a place of 11, where most of this poetic justice theory is about this back and forth, this split. But it's time now to make sure that we are gathering all of this energy to be able to put it towards shifting hip hop into this new space that it's intended to be in. And so if we are to take some other people's ideas, that this story did not begin in 2011, but instead began in 2009, when both Kendrick Lamar and Drake began entering the hip-hop space, well, formally, because Kendrick Lamar had been there, but formally entering the hip-hop space in 2009. This actually makes it so that we are getting two 9 cycles. A 9 cycle is what is used to build up the energy for us to be able to manifest. We build up the energy through this 9 cycle, and then we're able to manifest. And in this case, what is being manifested is this shift from for hip hop to be from what it was into what it's meant to be. And we can see that this now goes into the future. And in the future, in the near future, hip hop is moving from power into wisdom. And so we go through these 2 9 cycles to be able to fully help hip hop be able to gather all of the necessary energy so that it can move out of a place where its identity is being tested, so it can build up power in that identity and move into a space where it is in its wisdom. It is now able to express the wisdom that came from all of its experiences, those that it wants to take accountability for and those that do not, so that it can shift into this new being, this new identity that it's meant to be. So that's what I have for you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this vibrational journey. While I wrap up, I'm going to put up this list of honorable mentions, and These are more terms that are resonating at that 155. And so I'll just say that yes, we're seeing this heavily in the hip hop space. But in actuality, this vibration and the vibrational journey that we are experiencing, we see it throughout all of these spaces. There's many spaces that we will see this same vibration, because again, it depends on what is our perspective and our positioning of pulling that thread, and what does that thread take us to. And so all of these terms that were not included in looking at the poetic justice theory are still part of that same vibrational thread. And if you look through here, you can see that some of this we have also seen in the hip hop space, but we've seen it also just in everyday life and outside of the hip hop space and across time. So not just now, but in the past, and we will encounter it again in the future. And so hopefully you've enjoyed this vibrational journey of the poetic justice theory. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and hit the notification bell. And in the comments, let me know what you think. What can we add to this vibrational story? And I would love to hear how this relates to your take on the poetic justice theory. Thanks for being here. Bye.